Welcome back, Telly Lovers! Today I want to pay tribute to my favorite shows that we all said goodbye to in 2022. These 3 series had their final run this year, and I'm so sad to see them go, but so very grateful for the stories that they told. So keep that cuppa handy and let's jump right in. And don't forget that there are spoilers ahead. This quirky dramedy gave us an inside look at the aftermath of the death of a spouse. Ricky Gervais plays Tony, a widower who recently lost his wife Lisa to cancer. In the beginning of the series, Tony is portrayed as a snarky, miserable jerk, but as time goes by, the show does a remarkable job of peeling back those layers so that the viewer understands truly how lost and crushed he is by his grief. With the use of flashbacks and the video diary his late wife left for him as she was fighting her battle against cancer, we get a sense of how much lighter and more pleasant Tony was when his wife was still alive. In the present day, as the series unfolds, we witness how Tony is struggling to overcome his deep sense of loss by regaining some connection to his eccentric small-town compatriots who bring out his compassion, his generosity, and his kindness. Season 2 left us with the heartbreaking climax where Tony was on the verge of ending his life, but was interrupted by his love interest, Emma. Not only is he still in the throes of his grief over his wife's death, but in Season 2 he also lost his father to dementia and is struggling with guilt and confusion over his attraction to Emma. Season 3 sees Tony's relationships with people around him deepen, and he allows himself to be the kind person he once was. He becomes a better friend. He gives the insurance money that Lisa left behind to charity, to perfect strangers, and to friends who can make good use of it. Knowing what it feels like to be alone, he sets up lonely people with each other so they have a chance at love and companionship. He spends time with people who are suffering and tries to make them laugh. He sticks up for people. He helps Kath adopt a dog. He is still mindful about what a ridiculous and sorrow-filled trip life can be, but he's starting to remember that it can also be beautiful. In the last episode, we also get a better understanding of the name of the show and Tony's regret that he ridiculed the idea of an afterlife to Lisa. There's allusions to the meaning and value of life versus death, on being kind when you're alive and when it counts. In the bittersweet last scene, Tony leaves the village fete where he's run into most everyone he knows. To be honest, I did have a sinking feeling here that having given away all of his money and leaving everyone with a few last words of kindness, that he was saying goodbye for good. That sinking feeling turned to alarm when he's seen walking away into the distance with Lisa, with each one of them fading away. There was actually a lot of concern that this final scene meant that Tony died by suicide, although Ricky Gervais has stated that wasn't the case. He said that the ending was meant to be an illustration that life goes on, and the world keeps turning even in the face of a great loss. That the short amount of time each of us has to live with a purpose is really the point of it all. This is great food for thought in advance of all those New Year's goals and resolutions. The Split also aired its third and final season earlier this year. If you remember, Season 2 ended with the family coming together around the death of Hannah's father, Nathan included. Despite all the blows their marriage had sustained over the season, it showed us how Nathan and Hannah were truly family to each other. Season 3 opens with Hannah and Nathan amicably working toward their divorce, and Hannah's hesitation in signing the papers is really evident. It's clear she harbors some hope that they might reconcile, at least until she realizes he's met someone else. This really blows up when it's revealed that Nathan is expecting a baby with the new woman in his life. And Christy returns to London and pops a question to Hannah. Not that question, but he asks her to come live with him in New York, where they can finally be free together. We also see the other characters continue in their journeys of love and separation. Rose is deep in grief following the sudden death of James in episode 1, and then reconnects with the vicar who married them, a widower himself. Nina carries on an affair with Tyler and is swindled out of her substantial savings in the process. Ruth and Ronnie get engaged and then get married after a period of cold feet. At the end, Hannah and Nathan come to terms with the natural end of their relationship. It's been a painful, complicated road, but one they agree has come to its conclusion. It's been remarkable to see this evolution since season 1, and as viewers, we've all felt those complex emotions that were involved. The burn of betrayal, the hope of reconciliation, the comfort of a long enduring companionship, and the grief of chapters closed forever. The decision that Nathan and Hannah make to honor their bond by respecting how it's changed over time and also to prioritize their friendship over their marriage, it was really satisfying to see. It was the product of a long process of acceptance. In short, it's a really beautiful testament to the power of true love to set us free. And I also want to give a nod to the question we had since season 1. Who does Hannah choose in the end, Nathan or Christy? From nearly the beginning, we've seen the chemistry and the connection between both pairings, and it was really hard to ship them, let alone predict the outcome. In my opinion, the split handled this perfectly. With Hannah choosing herself and her family, I would have hated to see her ditch her identity as a Defoe, her career, her children, and everything else that mattered to her for Christy and a new life in New York. And it made perfect sense to me that just because her marriage was ending didn't mean that she had lost those other parts of herself. In fact, they seem stronger than ever, as does Hannah herself. I know I've said it before, but I don't gravitate toward romantic TV shows, and the split really still won me over. It was just so well written, and the cast was superb. I had my suspicions that Nicola Walker would be too good for this role. In the end, she was magnificent and so well cast that I don't think a lesser actor could have pulled it off. And the questions about how two people who've built a tremendous life together can kind of unmake that life was really intriguing. I'm so glad I gave the split a try because I enjoyed it thoroughly and I will really miss it now that creator Abby Morgan has confirmed that the show is indeed over. And now for the series that absolutely broke my heart when it said goodbye in 2022. From the cast to the writing, this show was sheer brilliance on every level since the start, and the third and final season was no exception. This year, writer Lisa McGee left open the possibility of a movie or spin-off series, but largely she said that the third season was always meant to close up the storyline. And it did that in just so many ways. Derry Girls has always been a coming-of-age story for Erin and her four besties, but it's also been just as much of a coming-age story about Ireland and Northern Ireland too. This season, it came full circle with throwbacks to elements from previous seasons, but it also presented more of the social and community context for the five friends, as well as the larger historical context of the end of the Troubles. As usual, the friends get into their own troubles as soon as the season begins. There's their arrest and hilarious scene with Liam Neeson in episode 1, Erin's accusation that Ma Mary is having an affair with the yummy plumber in episode 2, a spooky night after an accidental break-in and entering in episode 4, and a fraudulent bid to get into the Fatboy Slim concert in episode 6. It was pretty busy. In the midst of this, they still had time to dress up as the Spice Girls. And let's not forget that sweet, innocent scene where Erin and James finally share their first kiss. But fortunately, the hijinks doesn't end with this generation. This season brought the beloved elders to the foreground to give us a glimpse into their coming-of-age story as well. Episode 5 is devoted to a flashback of the moms when they were at the same age. We learn that they were all friends and have some of the same characteristics as their daughters, and wrestled with some of their own questions about autonomy, nonconformity, and identity. As Ma Mary said, they wanted the next generation of young women to acknowledge that they must have been a bunch of bad bitches. And the final scene shows each character voting in the referendum. I absolutely love this scene and the hope and the optimism it conveyed. It was such a joyous scene where 3 generations came together to make history and prepare for a new beginning. The Cranberries song Dream is playing just as it did during the very first episode in season 1, and it's just a perfect choice. The sense of community, while also preserving the individuality of each person, was just great. As far as series finales go, I can hardly think of a better one. And so for Erin and her friends, and Ma Mary and her friends, as well as for Northern Ireland in parallel, Derry Girls is about a loss of innocence, embracing change, and finding your way forward in the world when the future seems uncertain. Yes, this was a pivotal age for all 3, but I think some of those lessons are fitting at the end of just about any year, even this one. Well, it's been wonderful for me to say farewell to these incredible shows with you. Although I was sad to see them go, I was so satisfied by the conclusions, and I'm glad they went out on a strong note. And now tell me, what were your favorite shows that ended in 2022? Drop a line in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please do take a moment to subscribe to Tea and Telly so that you'll be ready for more smashing new videos about all things British television. Thanks a million, and ta for now.